Welcome back to the Mystery Project. We got a crazy one tonight, y'all. Lori Vallow Daybell. Oh, man. Yep, she's back. She's facing the charges in Arizona for the passing of Charles Vallow, the fourth, I believe, husband, right? Because Chad was the fifth, so Charles was the fourth. Awesome. Anyways, says trial erupts in opening statements. So she gave her opening statement. The prosecution gave their opening statement. And apparently it got crazy, especially for Lori, because I guess she's defending herself. Is that what it is? Because I saw her giving the statement and I was just like, oh no. Lori, are you defending yourself?
How dare you?
Let's find out. I think this is the prosecution first, so YouTube, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button for me. Let's get 100 likes. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Let's go.
A Jeep Wrangler. The Texas license plate, no rear tire, and dark tint was parked right up next to Brandon Boudreaux's driveway. Idle. At 9:13 a.m. on October 2nd of 2019, Brandon Boudreaux returned home. That Jeep had been idling there already for over an hour.
Oh, hell.
When Brandon turned onto his street, he immediately noticed this Jeep because it was parked so close to his driveway.
Oh, and this is also, it's not just for Charles, but I think it's for Brandon, huh? Because it's the attempted of Brandon.
The back of the Jeep was facing towards him, and he immediately also noticed that there was no rear tire. He saw a Texas plate on the Jeep, and then he saw that back window of the Jeep open up. A rifle barrel come out and point at him. And then bang! He heard a shot and his window shattered right next to him. Brandon hit the accelerator and he took off. He turned the corner and drove a block or so away and stopped, calling 911.
Oh, hell.
He talked to the operator and told them where this Jeep was going. As Brandon was speaking with the 911 operator, he had no idea that that bullet had struck his car just a few inches from his head.
That is crazy. Real close.
You'll learn that in the back of that Jeep was this defendant's brother, Alex Cox. He had been lying in wait with a rifle for Brandon to return home.
Uh-oh.
This defendant, Lori Vallow Daybell, the woman seated over here, had loaned her Jeep to her brother so he could drive it to Arizona. So he could be in the back of that Jeep with very dark tint that no one could see through and wait for Brandon to return home. The goal of this defendant and her co-conspirators? To shoot and kill Brandon Boudreaux.
Oh, hell.
So let's talk about
Lori.
What?
Crazy. Let's keep going.
October 2nd and the weeks leading up to that. All of the actions that this defendant did in furtherance of that conspiracy and the premeditated murder of Brandon Boudreaux. I'm going to start with a little background for you. In June of 2019, Brandon Boudreaux was still married to his then wife, Melanie. You're going to learn that Melanie is this defendant's niece. You're going to learn they were very close. And you're going to learn that they both had it out for Brandon. On June 25th, Brandon and Melanie got into an argument. And Brandon learned that this defendant had told his wife that he was gay, that he had hacked into her computer, and that Brandon was trying to work with her then husband to take her temple recommend away. You're going to learn that many of the people, including Brandon and this defendant, are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And having your temple recommend taken away is a very significant event. You're going to learn and see that Brandon actually texted Lori Vallow on the 25th of June to confront her about these lies, and that she never responded.
Oh, hell.
By July, just a short while later, Brandon and Melanie were seeing a mediator and proceeding through a divorce. You're going to also hear that during this time, Lori Vallow and Alex Cox lived here in Arizona. In fact, Lori lived in Chandler. You're going to hear about an incident that occurred on July 11th of 2019 in Chandler involving Lori Vallow and Alex Cox. The Chandler police were out at this defendant's residence, and they took photographs of some vehicles. One of those vehicles was a 2018 Jeep Wrangler with Texas license plates, LWD 0997. That will be very important to you. They also noted that Alex had his own car, a Ford F-150. Both of those vehicles were in Chandler in July. You're going to learn that in August through September, Lori Vallow and her brother Alex Cox moved up to Rexburg, Idaho, to be closer to this defendant's soon-to-be husband, Chad Daybell.
Fifth husband.
Both of them moved into a complex at 565 Pioneer Road in Rexburg, Idaho. Lori took the Jeep Wrangler and a Nissan Rogue, and Alex brought his Ford F-150. So everyone had their own vehicles.
Speaking of Alex, y'all, we haven't talked about this case in a minute. Do you think that Alex was doing all of this stuff willingly? Like he knew what he was doing and he was just like, yep, let's do it? Or do you think she like brainwashed the hell out of him and just had him doing all kinds of crazy stuff and he didn't even know what the hell was going on? What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
We learned that as the divorce is proceeding between Brandon and his then wife, Melanie, that they put their house up for sale. And Melanie moved out and got a rental property. When their house finally sold, Brandon had to rent a home too. And on September 13th of 2019, he rented a house at 3875 East Phelps Street in Gilbert. Brandon will tell you his plan initially was to stay in his own house almost up to the time of the closing and then move into the rental property. You will see a text message that Melanie asked Brandon for his new address. They had children in common, so he didn't think anything of this. And he sent her the address. That was on September 17th.
Oh, hell.
You'll learn that Melanie Boudreaux, this defendant's niece, was the only person who knew Brandon's address, who knew 3875 East Phelps Street, and who also knew this defendant and Alex Cox. Brandon barely moved into that house before the shooting. In fact, he'd moved in sooner than he thought because Melanie told him she was going out of town and offered him the...
Oh, hell, one of those... What'd they call them? Not a retreat, but it was something like that. And they were going on all these things and meeting all kinds of random people. And that's where she saw Chad Daybell for the first time. She was like, "Ow."
Kids for an extra weekend. And so he moved in sooner and took the kids while she flew to Rexburg, Idaho on September 26th through the 29th to be with this defendant.
Oh, hell. Look, she is representing herself.
So in the weeks leading up,
she's sitting there all alone.
Second shooting, we'll talk about all of these things that were done in furtherance of this conspiracy, starting with Lori Vallow's Jeep. You'll learn that Alex Cox searched out a place to have extra window tinting put on the Jeep. And I say that because you're going to see the photos.
Extra tinting? Oh, hell. I love watching her try to be an attorney. Yeah, Sally, I can't wait. That's the second half of this video, is her trying to be her own attorney. It's going to be insane.
From the Jeep in July, and you'll see there's tinting on the windows, but you can still see into it. And so,
she can't have
on
that.
September 25th, Alex Cox took that Jeep to Dan's Window Tinting in Rexburg, Idaho, and he paid $200 to put some of the darkest tint you could put on it.
Damn, that place is cheap as hell.
You'll
$200?
see those photos of what that Jeep looked like afterwards. This is the first action of this defendant, Lori Vallow, in the conspiracy, loaning her brother this Jeep and allowing him to put on these dark tint to get it ready so he can lie in wait and no one could see him in the back with that rifle. It is her first mistake.
That's crazy.
Using that Jeep and tying herself to the conspiracy and to the premeditation. Also on September 25th, you're going to learn that Lori Vallow and her accomplice, Alex Cox, went to the Walmart superstore in Idaho Falls. You're going to learn that's not far from Rexburg. And they purchased a burner phone. Now, a burner phone is a phone that you don't have to put your subscriber information to. And so, how do we know that Alex Cox was
Jessica, thank you for the super chat. Very sweet. Thank you so much.
there and Lori Vallow was there? Well, you're going to learn that each had their own cell phone, like most of us do. And that Alex Cox's cell phone was utilizing Wi-Fi inside that Walmart at the time that burner phone was purchased with cash. And you'll learn that this defendant's cell phone that was subscribed to her was utilizing cell towers in the area of that Walmart at the time that that burner phone was purchased.
Uh-oh. They
Lori
got you on
Vallow
the
now
towers,
talks
Lori.
that he would need a phone when he drove down here. But they knew you don't want to bring your own phone. It's a great, you'll be tracked, right? So they bought this burner phone so that Alex would have contact while he drove down here and away. But Alex made a mistake. Because
He logged into his own Gmail. Isn't that what happened? I'm pretty sure he logged into his own Gmail account on the burner phone.
like any other phone, you can still use a burner phone to access Google or your Gmail accounts.
Yup.
And you're going to learn that Alex accessed his Gmail account. In this investigation, you'll learn the police executed many, many search warrants, and one of
You
them was
what?
on Alex Cox's Gmail account, homerjmaximus@gmail.com.
Homer J. Maximus.
You're going to learn that Alex searched for things like window tinting in
Uh-oh.
Rexburg, that he searched for places to practice shooting ranges. You're going to learn that he searched different things about angles or trajectories of shots. You're going to learn that the day before, on October 1st and the morning of October 2nd, he searched 3875 East Phelps Street, where Brandon Boudreaux lived. You're going to learn that after the shooting, Alex Cox actually searched for directions on how to get away through a back road. He knew he hadn't killed Brandon. Brandon's calling 911, and so he searched for Pine Top, Holbrook, Moab, Utah, Fillmore, Utah, and eventually Idaho Falls as he made his way back through back roads.
Nuts.
You're going to learn that the police also executed search warrants on this defendant's Gmail account. lollytimeforever@gmail.com.
Oh my god. I forgot about that. Lolly time at G.
How dare you!
That is nuts.
On September 30th, the day when her brother took her Jeep and started driving down to Arizona, she searched, quote, how to get the back seat out of my Jeep Wrangler. And she also searched a YouTube video, Jeep Wrangler JK rear seat removal, how to DIY YouTube video. This defendant continued to be a co-conspirator and to aid her accomplice, Alex Cox, by searching how to remove that back seat of the Jeep so he could better lie in wait to shoot Brandon. This was the defendant's second
If she wasn't going to jail for life already, she's going to jail for life now also. That is nuts.
mistake, and more evidence of her being a co-conspirator and the premeditation. This defendant also, on September 30th, began aiding Alex by becoming his alibi. You'll hear from Nick Valance, who is an FBI agent who deals with cellular analysis, that around 4:30 p.m. on September 30th, Alex Cox's cell phone, the one that he subscribed to, moved from his apartment in this same complex where he and Lori Vallow lived to Lori Vallow's unit. And from then on for the next couple days, Alex Cox's phone remained with this defendant. Meanwhile, that burner phone from that Idaho Falls Walmart on September 30th started moving towards Arizona.
Oh, hell.
You will hear that on October 2nd of 2019, at about 8 in the morning Arizona time, about an hour before the shooting, this defendant created the alibi. She had Alex Cox's phone call her phone to make it look like he was still in Rexburg, Idaho, instead of in Gilbert, Arizona. That fake call lasted about 24 minutes. Both of those cell phones were using the same cell tower in Rexburg, Idaho.
That's real smart.
How dare you!
I'm going to call myself to make it look like you're calling me, but both phones are pinging off the same tower in Idaho. Oh, Lori. Lori. The worst part is she thinks she's real smart. Oh, no. She thinks she's like next level genius. Meanwhile, every time she talks, we all say this.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
This was Lori Vallow's third mistake. More evidence that she was a co-conspirator and of that premeditation to aid her brother in this shooting of Brandon Boudreaux. So how do we know, though, that Lori Vallow's Jeep drove from Idaho to Arizona? Well, we're going to start by learning about what we call LPRs, or license plate readers.
They got the plate. They got the plate.
You will learn and see a photo of Lori Vallow's Jeep in Arizona on October 1st of 2019 up near Holbrook on the I-40.
You gonna burn in
that
hell,
the DEA
Lori.
has a license plate reader there, and they took a photo of Lori Vallow's Jeep with that license plate LWD 0997 on its way to Gilbert, Arizona.
Busted. It's over. By the way, TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new here. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every night. Same thing, YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up, too. Let's get 100 likes. And TikTok, please come over to YouTube and subscribe to The Mystery Project. That's the name of the channel. You can actually see the video over there. We're live right now, and you can see this lady destroying Lori Vallow before she even gets to talk. Or maybe she talked already. I don't know who went first. But Lori's next on our video, and you don't want to miss it. The Mystery Project on YouTube. Come subscribe.
You're also going to learn that the police later recovered that Jeep back up in Rexburg, and they did a couple different search warrants on it. And what they recovered inside the Jeep, among other things, was a receipt from October 1st of 2019 from Mesa, Arizona, the day before the shooting, from a restaurant called Los Favoritos out on Power Road. You're going to learn that at the time the burner phone is down here in Arizona. You'll learn that Alex Cox was using his Gmail and Googling an address on Power Road around the time when we then see the receipt. Alex Cox, Lori Vallow's Jeep, and Alex's rifle are here in Arizona waiting to commit this shooting.
Oh, man.
Meanwhile, up in Rexburg, on October 1st, this defendant does a little more additional help. She goes to a storage unit in Rexburg, Idaho, and rents unit C52. The next day, on October 2nd, when the shooting is happening down in Arizona, or after the shooting actually, she brings her soon-to-be husband, Chad Daybell, with her. And you will see video of this as she and Chad Daybell put the rear tire and the rear bench seat of that Jeep into the storage unit.
Oh, no.
using the storage unit for that Jeep tire and that bench seat so that her co-conspirator, Alex, could lie in wait in the back of the Jeep, waiting for Brandon to return home that morning. This is, again, evidence of that conspiracy and of the premeditation to kill Brandon.
Uh-oh, Lori.
So October 2nd, the morning of this shooting.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's a microphone the lady's talking into. She's like the court reporter. Not court reporter, what is it? Stenographer? She's basically the person that's like saying everything everybody's saying, but it sucks that she has to hold it like that and keep switching hands. Like you figured she'd be like, have a mask. I guess then it'd look like, I don't know, like she has sleep apnea or something.
You will see that Alex Cox was Googling that address, 3875 East Phelps Road.
Oh, hell.
His burner phone from Idaho Falls, Idaho, is in Gilbert, Arizona. He's using his Gmail account, and he is using cell towers around Melanie Boudreaux's residence.
Oh,
Now,
no.
this is important because Melanie knew that Brandon had their kids. They had 4. She knew that Brandon that morning was going to have to drop off 3 of the kids at school and that they would exchange their youngest. They would meet at a park. Brandon would text Melanie, let her know he was there. She would respond, and they would exchange their youngest child. While Brandon was leaving his house to take his kids to school, that Idaho burner phone moves to his residence and begins waiting for him.
Oh, hell.
Alex kept the Jeep running as he waited for Brandon to return. What Melanie didn't know was that Brandon was going to the gym after dropping off the kids, and so Alex had to wait longer. You'll hear that one of Brandon's neighbors noticed this Jeep. It's a neighborhood that doesn't have any real easy ingress or egress. You'll see a map of it. So there's very little through traffic. And so the neighborhood knows and recognizes most of the same cars. And you'll hear from a neighbor that as he was backing out, he saw this Jeep parked the wrong way on the road, nose to nose with another vehicle that he did recognize. He saw the dark tinting.
Oh, no.
He saw it was running, and he thought it just stood out as unusual in his neighborhood. It made him actually look into his rearview mirror to note it had a Texas license plate. This was about 30 plus minutes before Brandon arrived home. When Brandon got to the house that day, Alex was ready with the rifle. And we know that he was able to just lift up that back window because the tire wasn't on it. Alex fired 1 shot. Luckily, he did not hit Brandon. You will see that Brandon was driving a Tesla at the time. And unlike many cars, there's no frame around the window. The window just goes into the door, into the car itself. The shot hit the frame of the vehicle, but right where the window goes up into it. And you'll see that there is damage to the window as well as the bullet hole into the frame of the vehicle itself.
Man, he hit the frame?
Right above Brandon's head when he was sitting in
Oh, Lord, that was close.
that driver's seat. You'll hear that when Brandon took off, the window remained in the door, that he drove away and then eventually circled back around and went into his driveway. You'll hear that for a Tesla, when you put the car in park, the door automatically opens and the whole window just shattered out. Brandon was on the phone with 911 soon after the shooting. You'll hear that call,
Right.
him actually sounding out of breath from the fear. And he waited for the police to arrive. Alex Cox, of course, is Googling how to get out of there and get back to Rexburg, Idaho. And by October 3rd, he was back there. That same day on October 3rd, you will see that Alex Cox and Lori Vallow went back to the storage unit. They removed that rear tire. They removed the rear seat of the Jeep and took it with them. You will again see video of that. You'll also see that they Googled that day, news in Gilbert, shootings of Brandon, to try to find out what the police knew.
Oh, hell.
How did the police figure out that this defendant and Alex Cox were involved? Well, when the police were interviewing Brandon, they asked him if he had any enemies. Who would want to do this? And Brandon told the police the only people he could think of was Lori Vallow and Alex Cox. He told them that Lori had lived in Texas and that the Jeep had a Texas license plate. And he told them about that incident on July 11th of 2019 in Chandler involving Lori Vallow and Alex Cox. And he believed this was all tied together. You'll hear that the Gilbert police reached out to the Chandler Police Department and learned about that Jeep with the Texas plates, LWD 0997, the same plate that was seen on that license plate reader on October 1st coming into Arizona. The Gilbert police learned that Lori Vallow and Alex Cox were living in Rexburg, Idaho, and they reached out to law enforcement there. You'll hear that on November 1st, police in Idaho went to 565 Pioneer Road, that apartment complex, and they saw Lori Vallow, they saw Alex Cox, and they saw Chad Daybell. They didn't see the Jeep that day, and so they went back a few days later on November 4th and saw the Jeep located near Lori Vallow's residence. Tires back on it, rear seat is back in it. You'll hear that they impounded it. And on November 18th, the Gilbert police flew to Idaho to process it. You're going to learn about GSR, or gunshot residue. You're going to learn that they processed the vehicle. Basically, they're little sticky kits. GSR is microscopic. You can't see it. So you try to collect it, and then you give it to an expert to look through it. You will hear that those kits were sent to the Phoenix Police Department and reviewed, and that particles indicative of gunshot residue were located on the kits that were tested from the rear of that Jeep Wrangler, and that this is consistent with a gun being fired from the rear of the Jeep. You also hear that the Gilbert Police Department collected DNA from areas like the steering wheel, the gear shift, seatbelt buckles, and that they got a blood blot from Alexander Cox. DNA profiles were created from the steering wheel and other areas around the driver's seat. And the DNA was found to be a mixture, multiple people, but the major contributor was Alexander Cox.
Oh, hell.
Again, you will hear that the police executed multiple search warrants on cell phones, cell tower usage, data from Gmail accounts, and data from iCloud accounts. You will see a map of Lori Vallow's cell phone, Alex Cox's cell phone, as well as that burner phone from that Walmart in Idaho Falls, the one that was associated to Alex Cox's Gmail account. You will hear from Nick Valance from the FBI, and he'll show you how that burner phone went from Rexburg, Idaho, down to Gilbert, Arizona, was there for the shooting, and returned back to Rexburg, and was never used again after that. You will learn that the only phone number that that burner phone called or received calls from
was Lori
was
Vallow.
Chad Daybell, this defendant's soon-to-be husband.
Was it her phone or his phone?
The same phone, of course, that was using those cell towers right around Brandon's home at the time of the shooting. This defendant, Lori Vallow Daybell, has been charged with conspiracy to commit the first-degree murder of Brandon Boudreaux on October 2nd of 2019. The evidence in this case will prove to you beyond a reasonable...
Is that the only thing? I thought it was for Charles too, but it's just for the attempted of Brandon Boudreaux? That's what this one is? Or is there another one for Charles?
doubt that this defendant conspired with Alex Cox and others to kill Brandon. She provided the means, the Jeep. She helped get the Jeep ready, and she tried to provide an alibi for her co-conspirator. At the end of this trial, the state will ask you all to hold this defendant accountable and find her guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder.
Oh, here it is, y'all. Here it is. Here's the Lori Vallow. Oh, no. Y'all, TikTok, come on over to YouTube. The Mystery Project on YouTube. Come check out the Lori Vallow representing herself. The Mystery Project. Y'all, come on over. Oh, God, here we go. Let's see what happens.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, here we are at trial. And the judicial system can be difficult to understand at times. There are laws and rules and statutes that govern how things will proceed in this trial. You yesterday got to hear the preliminary jury instructions, so you kind of got an order of how things are going to go. In order for someone to be charged with a crime, as I have been...
Your Honor, I'm going to object to argument versus an opening statement.
Right.
I'll remind the defendant an opening statement should be a preview of what is to be expected at trial. So go ahead.
That law enforcement presents evidence that they gather, and the state prosecutors are going to present that to you.
She didn't change anything. She just picked up right where her sentence left off. Oh, Lori, have you learned nothing?
You what?
Sometimes the state charges the defendant with a crime. They have charged me with a crime, a very serious crime. Sometimes they take the allegations to a grand jury to decide if the defendant should be charged.
I'm going to object again, Your Honor. Improper argument. Asked to strike.
Hold on. The jury should disregard that last comment. How the charges arrived here are not for the jury's consideration. The prior proceedings are not for the jury's consideration. Please proceed.
The state or the prosecution will then take the information gathered, the evidence from law enforcement, and present to you a story, a theory, their hypothesis of what happened. In this case, the prosecutor...
In this case, we can just call it the truth.
How dare you!
Because they figured it out. It's exactly what happened. And now I'm going to try to make all kinds of crazy statements throwing y'all off the trail.
Was not present during this alleged crime. The Gilbert Police Department was not present during this alleged crime. So it is their job to fill in the gap.
Oh, you didn't do it in front of the police? Wow, that might be the smartest thing you've ever done, Lori.
Make up a theory and present it to you, the jury, at trial. This is their job. They are not witness to the actual events because they weren't there that day with Brandon at the house when this alleged shooting occurred.
They weren't there that day with Brandon when the alleged shooting occurred. Listen to what she just said. She literally just said that Brandon was there, but just the shooting was alleged. So he was there, but it wasn't him that did it. Like, it's just a crazy coincidence that somebody shot at him, but it wasn't Brandon. Listen to that again. That is really, really dumb.
With Brandon at the house when this alleged gaps.
Listen.
Make up a theory and present it to you, the jury, at trial.
Right here.
This is their job. They are not witness to the actual events because they weren't there that day with Brandon at the house when this alleged shooting.
Oh, with Brandon. Never mind. I thought they said Alex. I thought she went crazy as hell and just spilled the beans right there. Never mind. She said Brandon.
Occurred. This case is about a conspiracy. And a conspiracy is when two or more people make an agreement to commit a crime.
Also, it was... Oh, I can't even handle this lady.
Have to willingly and knowingly participate. Conspiracy is an ancient word that appears in the Bible on many occasions. Judas conspired against Jesus with the chief priests for 30 pieces of silver.
Oh, God.
Unless this is being presented at trial, I'm not sure that this is appropriate opening.
What is the legal objection?
Well, you're arguing. The opening statement is not argument. I'm going to allow it briefly, but I may cut you off depending on where you're going with that.
Cain conspired against Abel, his brother. This case is a case of conspiracy. The charge against me is that I conspired with my brother, Alex Cox, to murder my niece's husband, Brandon Boudreaux. But you will find, as you begin to see the evidence put forth in this case, that there was not any
That's exactly what I did. I mean, there's no merit.
animosity between Brandon and myself. I personally did not have any motivation to have harm come to Brandon. In fact, Brandon and I had a very friendly relationship all of the time that I have known him.
I bet you had a very friendly relationship with a bunch of people in your life that are no longer breathing. You sick expletive.
I first met Brandon when he was marrying my niece, Melanie.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to, unless the defendant's testifying.
Can I have the parties approach briefly? Can I have you approach briefly?
Oh, no. They got all approached. What is she wearing?
Go ahead.
I first met Brandon when he was marrying my niece, Melanie. Melanie and I are very close because my sister...
Didn't Brandon have an insurance policy and Melanie was still the recipient of that? And Lori at this time was just trying to come up with money. She got some of the Charles money, but she didn't get all of it because he had changed it to his sister. I remember there being some reason. It wasn't just, oh, he doesn't like the church and he believes that we're all crazy, or the ones that were going crazy in that little cult thing. But I'm pretty sure there was an insurance policy on Brandon that Melanie was going to get. And Lori was like, well, he should just, if something happened to him, oh my God.
Her mother passed away when she was just 9 years old. So Melanie and I think of each other and love each other like a mother and daughter, even though we are aunt and niece. So our families remained close. Melanie and Brandon's family. What the fuck? And my family. And in each other's lives, like everyday lives. We spent holidays together and shared in everyday life. I was there for Melanie and Brandon's wedding and for the birth of all 4 of their children. I was also very close to all 4 of their children.
I really hate the way that she talks like that.
In this case, you will hear Brandon himself tell you that someone shot a gun at his car. You will learn in this testimony that Brandon was not hurt. You will learn that he wasn't even sure what had happened. But you will hear that Brandon immediately blamed me. Which begs the question, was I an enemy to Brandon? That is news to me, and hopefully by the end of this trial, we will all have some answers to that question.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop you fucking lying.
She is nuts.
In this case, you will learn.
Hopefully we have some... I want to know too. So we're all going to get answers by the end of this trial.
That Brandon had called 911 and Gilbert police did respond. You will learn that Brandon speaks of a puke green Jeep. And then he offers the officers a camo green color that he's speaking of on his phone. He says a green Jeep. Then you will hear the neighbor who says that.
Oh, so in the moment of something shattering his windshield and him not knowing what the hell happened, he called a black Jeep with no tire and a Texas plate a green or camo Jeep with no tire and a Texas plate. Oh my God. So, yep, that's it. Yep, totally. He didn't get it exactly right after he'd been shot at and his window shattered and everything. Totally. Yep. I believe you, Lori. I believe you.
It was a dark blue Jeep that was parked in front of the neighbor's house. You will learn that Brandon very quickly hired a private investigator to find out where I was living out of the state of Arizona so he could inform the police. You will see Brandon exchange email information with Detective Pillar, the case agent in this case, about my whereabouts and about the financial dealings of my niece, Melanie Boudreaux. You will learn that Brandon was not particularly satisfied with the investigation that Gilbert Police was conducting, so he did his own investigation, hiring his own private investigator to follow his wife, Melanie Boudreaux. You will find out that Brandon had access to the VIN number of a Jeep and gave it to the police.
Okay.
You will find out that after that event, he quickly changed his story from a camo green Jeep to a gray Jeep. You will then learn that Brandon continued to provide information he was personally finding out to Detective Pillar, the case agent in this case. You will learn that Detective Pillar and Brandon discussed through email how they can demonstrate Melanie's financial gain if Brandon were to have died around October 2nd, 2019. This is what a conspiracy looks like. Two people trying to set up another person for a crime. My niece, Melanie Boudreaux, is named by the state as a co-conspirator. However, she has not been charged with the crime.
I'm going to object.
But I have.
Oh, Lord. Lori, what are you doing?
Struck as well, Your Honor.
Jury should disregard that statement. You're going to receive an instruction later that all persons that may be involved would not necessarily be charged or called as witnesses, and you'll follow those instructions later. Go ahead.
I was not living in Arizona at the time this alleged incident happened on October 2nd, 2019. I was not even aware such an event had taken place. I did have a close relationship with my brother Alex, but I was not aware of his every move. Melanie also had a close relationship with Alex, but also was not aware of his location at all times. Brandon and Alex also had a good relationship until this accusation. They saw each other frequently at all of our family parties and get-togethers and would often be seen laughing and talking.
Okay. Let's just apply just a marginal amount of logic to this whole situation. Lori, you are now a convicted murderer, okay, for 2 kids, all right? So your whole like, well, I don't know, and I wouldn't have known, and well, Alex was nice to him, and I was nice to him, and none of that matters anymore. None of that holds any weight. You're a liar. You have been proven to be a liar. You're a horrible person that's going to spend the rest of their life in jail where you belong, and nobody cares about you anymore. After this, and y'all, I think she like threw out the attorneys. I think she's defending herself. I think all of this is just because she knows at the end of it, it's over for her, right? Like she at the end of this, she turns into a number and is going to just fade away, and nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to care. But it is nuts to hear her be like, well, we were all friends at parties. Really? The same parties you brought your kids to? Before you killed them both and buried them in the backyard at Chad's house? Those kids, they were at parties too, weren't they? You sick, sick woman. You're going to burn in hell for all of this. Let's go. And by the way, hit the thumbs up button. YouTube, let's get 100 likes. Thank you so much. Hit the subscribe button too. Let's keep going.
Alex was a comedian who kept our family laughing. Alex passed away in December 2019 of natural causes, so he is not here.
Yeah, we should look into that one too, Lori. But you had him cremated that fast.
Here to defend himself.
And I'm going to object again to that as well, since he's not party to this.
All right, I'll just remind the jury that what is said in opening statements is not evidence. It's not sworn testimony. Please proceed.
Although the state has alleged that there are several co-conspirators.
Look at the judge. He's so sick of it already. She's like 4 minutes into her thing, and he's like, I could be playing golf right now, but instead I got to listen to this crazy woman wearing a Prince, where not even Prince, but wearing like Dave Chappelle as Prince outfit.
In this case, I am the only one being charged with a crime. So you will be the judge. You will hear and see evidence presented by the state. The state has, according to the law, 100% burden to prove to you that
object to misstatement of the law in terms of 100%.
All right. Again, this is a little bit bordering on argument, but the jury will receive the instructions on what is and what is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
Dear God, Lori.
The state has the burden to prove that a crime has been committed here and that I committed that crime. That is the way the law is written. I do not have to show any evidence or put up a defense. I do not have to testify. That is
You
the
shouldn't.
law. The prosecutors from the state have to prove to you that I conspired, meaning
They already
made
did.
an agreement with my brother to murder.
Send them to the jury room right now. Send them to deliberation right now. I guarantee you, 10 minutes, they come back guilty.
Brandon. So you will decide. Right now, according to the law, I am innocent. I remain innocent until the state of Arizona and its prosecutors show you enough evidence to convince you.
In her opening statement, she showed me enough, and that was all just a summary of what's to happen. It wasn't even like the judge just said. That wasn't even sworn testimony. It wasn't even evidence. And I'm already like, nope, you're crazy as hell. You're going to jail. Well, you're already going to jail, but you're going to jail even more for this.
That I had anything to do with this alleged crime. And I want you to look carefully and determine if this event was a crime at all. Did a shooting actually occur? Only.
You what?
Did a shooting actually occur?
Only Brandon claims that it did. Only Brandon names me and Alex. You will learn that Brandon himself did own a gun. You will learn that Brandon
shot
knew
his
how to
own
shoot
car?
his gun. You will learn that Brandon and Melanie were going through a divorce. And you will learn that even though Brandon is the one who actually filed for a divorce, he was blaming me for his divorce.
Yeah, because you went crazy and started recruiting people into your little crazy cult. And she was one of them, apparently.
You will learn that the information that
Yeah,
the
from the
Gilbert Police
outside, too,
Department and
Garrett.
Detective Pillar, the case agent on this case, learned about me and my brother Alex was from Brandon Boudreaux.
Yeah, because they asked him who would be. Do you have any enemies? Is there anybody that you think would be capable of something this crazy? And he's like, you know what? Speaking of crazy, this one.
You will learn that Brandon and Detective Pillar communicated frequently and were on a first-name basis. I want you to look closely at the motivation of Brandon and the Gilbert Police Department, because I'm the only one charged with the crime, and I need you to decipher what really happened here, because I'm the only one who's being asked to pay a consequence for this
And
crime.
again, Your Honor, I'm going to ask to object and strike that.
Sustained. The jury in their instructions received an instruction that said the jury is not to consider a penalty. That will be in the final instructions area as well. The jury's job is to determine whether or not the state has proved the case beyond a reasonable doubt or the charge beyond a reasonable doubt. Go ahead, proceed.
You will hear many references during this trial about the state versus Lori Daybell. Well, who is the state? The state are the prosecutors.
I object to argument and relevance.
Insane. This, Lori, you are nuts. What the hell is wrong with you? Oh my God. Anita, thank you for the super chat. Y'all, thanks for the super chats. Thanks for supporting the show. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button for me too. Let's get 50 likes, y'all. Come on. Everybody hit the little thumbs up for me.
Sustain.
And you, the jury, are brought in to stand between the state and me.
And I'm going to object again to improper statement of the law, argument, and relevance.
Sustained.
Nuts.
You are here to say if a crime has even been committed at all. You are here to say if I committed this very crime and if the state proved this to you beyond a reasonable doubt. If at the end of this trial you have reasonable doubt, then I remain innocent. If the state does not prove to you that I, 1, committed a crime, and 2, committed this crime, then I remain innocent. In this case, you will hear a lot of speculation. The definition of speculation is an idea or guess about something that is not known. During this trial, the state will try to convince you that I committed this crime by using speculation, innuendo, and insinuation. And the state is hoping that this will be enough. In this trial, you will in fact witness a power struggle between the state and the defendant.
Your Honor,
for what a fact really is.
Sustain.
Because they want to convince you, the jury, that a fact is speculation, that a fact is innuendo, that a fact is insinuation, that they knew what I was thinking, what I was feeling, what I was planning, when they don't know it all.
Well, what were you planning?
You, the jury, have all the power to decide what the facts are and what they're not. Not the state, not the judge, not law enforcement. You. So I implore you to listen carefully and decide for yourselves if the state's theory really makes logical sense. What motivation did I have? What malice have I ever shown to anyone? What
the fuck?
What malice have you ever shown to anyone? Lori, 5 husbands? 2, 3 of them? You had 2 kids? Both of them you convicted of murdering and burying in the backyard? What malice have you shown to anyone? Oh my God. You're showing malice right now to the prosecution, and in the videos we saw of her talking about the judge and how she wanted him off the case, everything, you're showing malice to him too. Lori, it would be easier to say the people you haven't shown malice to.
benefit would I gain? I am a person who loves all people and has no malice towards anyone.
You are a crazy, 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 crazy woman.
Not even the prosecutors who wrongfully try to convict me.
Your Honor, I'm going to object again to relevance and to argument.
Sustained. Yup. Try again, you
I am all
idiot.
about spreading love and will continue to do so, even after this trial is complete, no matter the result. Thank you.
You're going to burn in hell.
Call its first witness.
Thank you. The state will call Brandon Boudreaux.
Yeah, Brandon Boudreaux. Should we watch the Brandon Boudreaux one, y'all? Let me know. I might pop back on here in a little bit and watch that. If not, we'll do it tomorrow. Y'all, make sure you like the video. I'll see y'all tomorrow.